People are pointing their attention towards 50 Cent wanting him to do a Jay-Z documentary.
It looks like he might actually do it, because on Instagram, he posted a drawing of Jay-Z that kind of makes fun of his looks, and he posted that photo, and he said this in the caption: "Please stop sending me stuff like this. I'm not going to post it." Someone commented on the post, and the comment got liked by 50 Cent. He commented saying, "My only question, he's next, isn't it?" And 50 ended up liking that comment.
I thought the smartest thing Jay said in the statement was, if you really believe this happened, then press criminal charges.
Jay-Z released a statement. "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one."
He said, pull up.
But I don't think that was...
Tell me.
Okay, look. Because of the statute of limitation, there is
no criminal. So it's
so making a statement is to make people feel like...
But apparently if she's under 18, didn't you say it still could be criminal?
Yeah, I get confused too. So you look at this, it's a lot of confusing information, right? But I think when you do point out that, why didn't you file criminal case? Because you can't. It's over 20 years old. This is 2000, bro.
No, but I think if it's a minor,
when they're saying this is happening, I'm not even 50 Cent yet.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying? Like, this is that far back.
Yeah.
So it's like, Dame Dash that Jay wouldn't sign off on nothing. Jay wouldn't do this and Jay would that, because he couldn't let a Cameron blow up. He couldn't let an East Coast rapper like Beanie Siegel blow up.
Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common professionally.
If you've already watched 50 Cent's Diddy documentary on Netflix, one omission really stands out. Jay-Z is nowhere to be seen. There are no interviews, no throwback clips, no photos, not even a passing reference, despite the fact that his long-standing connection with Diddy has been widely documented over the years. The silence feels intentional, and the deeper you think about it, the stranger it becomes. According to multiple industry insiders, that absence may not be a coincidence. Reports suggest Netflix made a late editing decision to remove an entire section from episode 4. Internally, the deleted portion was allegedly referred to as the Jay-Z tapes. Sources claim 50 Cent strongly advocated for keeping the segment in the final version, but Netflix ultimately chose to cut it before release.
And Desiree Perez, all them people got dirt under them, bro. You understand? All them people got dirt on their fingernails. Jay-Z got dirt in his fingernails. You understand? Jay-Z was messing with young girls from our block. Tiring them. I'm putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm picking a side. Desiree, husband, was a former dealer that she turned on a whole cartel. All of them got dirt on them. And 50 got they dirt. You understand? 50 gonna know they dirt. Cause 50 got investigated. He got people that's in the street. So if they go at him, listen here, I deem him like myself 10 times the normal man. He gonna do what he gotta do. And the whole thing about it is they trying to retaliate on him for something he did to somebody else. I feel that it's something worth seeing. It's something worth coming around, because all that shit is about to fall. All that we seen in the industry, these demons want to have sex and turn little boys into little girls into little boys. That shit's about to go out the window, bro. And we need to start speaking up and talking about it. We need to stop all this crazy stuff. We need people to put people out here that's doing like this, that's taking from people's families, that's beating women, that's beating women. I ain't got a problem with it.
What really makes this stand out is how thoroughly everyone else in the documentary was examined. Key players were featured, lawsuits were dissected, allegations were brought to light, and careers were analyzed under a microscope. Yet, Jay-Z wasn't just given lighter coverage, he was completely erased. When one of the most influential figures tied to the story faces zero scrutiny, while everyone else is put under the lens, it's hard to chalk that up to coincidence. It's classic damage control. To grasp why his absence is so striking, you have to consider his history with Diddy. Despite later attempts to downplay their connection, several insiders close to Diddy have confirmed that the two shared a very tight relationship for many years.
Matching white girls together. Cause when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, ass. I gotta go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pockets 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that I was going to knock out. And then we was at the, it was me, him, Ashley Kushner, Puff and them. We was all at the Nets game together and he didn't even remember none of it. And I don't expect him to remember, but I remembered. You understand? And he told Puff, he said, yo, Puff, yo, I heard about that Gene right there. That Gene got a mean left. Oh, you said that Gene a knocking out. Then he gonna come up to me and say, man, you look like, man, you a tearing ass up. And I said to himself, I said, yo, no Diddy, pause, whatever. I said, he don't even remember. I was about to knock him the F out. He didn't even remember. He said to me to Laura. But that's how these guys are, man.
This went far beyond business or music. Sources describe their bond as both intensely personal and deeply professional. Yet when Diddy found himself under heavy legal scrutiny, Jay-Z's lawyers acted fast, releasing statements that minimized their connection. Almost instantly, former insiders challenged that version, insisting it painted a misleading picture. According to those who witnessed it firsthand, the story the public heard didn't match what was really happening behind closed doors.
To us, black excellence,
That had to be there.
we getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm going to be with you this year.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D-Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly.
This becomes significant because federal probes rarely zero in on just a single person. They investigate entire networks. Authorities trace connections, determine who had knowledge, and note who stayed silent. That's often when people start to pull back. From the outside, it seems Jay-Z may be carefully managing his distance, possibly worried about any potential repercussions that could arise from Diddy's situation.
Between the Jigga Man and the Diddler. Okay? These are two people that have been working in concert, collaborating and competing. These are people that have been covering each other's secrets for decades. That's why I say to sit there and to just make Diddy the acceptable monster and not address his greatest collaborator in all of his business dealings it's a miscarriage of justice. Because what you're doing is you're leaving the other half of this two-headed monster out on the street to still be able to do what they do. While this one looks like he's down. This is a man who pow-powed his own brother and somehow walked away from that instance, got involved in the street drug trade, and somehow everyone else went to jail except for him. He's been making deals with the government and with the feds for quite some time. If none of this is real, how does the CEO of his record conglomerate Rock Nation, how is she a known federal informant whose background is transferring on multiple levels? Desiree Perez is one of the most despicable human beings to ever walk the face of this earth. And I'm not saying allegedly. I know that about you, man. I know about all your business dealings in Laredo. I know about all your business dealings in Guadalajara. And I know about who you know in Sinaloa. Why is a woman who's had this much engagement with the Mexican cartels running a rap conglomerate? That makes no sense. And she is a chartered government informant. What it sounds like to me is that the government found a very, very, very successful way to control and manipulate hip hop by allowing their top agents to run everything and keep the independent jail system going, because a lot of these rappers are also heavily invested in the jails that most of these rappers go to. It's a bigger business.
You have to show damages to really win defamation as well.
Absolutely.
Is that just
But
part of the legal plan?
They're not going to do that against me. Because if they do that, then they have to explain how I know what I know.
Insiders say the deleted portion of episode 4 was meant to dive into long-standing claims surrounding Jay-Z's private life, confidential legal deals, and strict non-disclosure agreements. While rumors like these have been floating around the industry for years, they've never been thoroughly investigated or presented on a major streaming service. Until now, at least in
I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond. You have no choice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately. Sean Carter. This has been a fist of tyranny that has been punching through.
These stories have been swirling for decades, but what's different now is the reportedly wider lens of investigators, examining how influence, money, and strategic silence operated behind the scenes. This is also where Kelly's presence becomes impossible to ignore. Long before lawsuits and documentaries made headlines, the music industry was quietly aware of the risks he posed. Executives and artists deliberately kept their distance, unwilling to attach their names or reputations to him. Even Dame Dash, Jay-Z's business partner at the time, has openly stated he wanted nothing to do with
to Def Jam.
She was the innocent baby when she came over here. And look at her now.
14 going on 15 years old. Flown over without parental supervision in a private plane by a man who was supposed to be a producer who auditioned her at 3 a.m. in a hotel room. Auditioning at 3 a.m. in the morning, a 14-year-old girl.
With no parental consent.
Nobody. She was flown to another country. She was taken to Def Jam headquarters. She was left in a conference room alone with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours alone with no parental supervision. Her father was blown up separately. She was 14 and a half, going on 15. She's about 16 when Pound the Replay came out, wasn't she? Her father collected a $500,000 check. She has the fastest inked deal in Def Jam history.
How did they get Rihanna from Barbados to New York City? Quickly. They got her there quick.
Like that. On a private plane.
Yeah.
Just told you, just said that.
If people knew how many of these girls are transported around on private planes, how they're able to redact, change names on manifests, she wouldn't have needed parental consent or a passport if she got on a private plane on the manifest listed as someone else. They only worry about the body count. They're not checking IDs at the tarmac. They're trusting whoever's bringing them on is doing everything above board.
Avoiding him entirely, refusing collaborations, and keeping their business separate. Jay-Z, however, took a different path, choosing to collaborate on full albums with R. Kelly, despite the warnings and the caution of those around.
He's an R&B. I'm not an R&B. No disrespect to R&B because I'm cool with Tyrese. But we have these things. Like sometimes I'll be like, that's that R&B shit you doing. You know what I mean? I'm not R&B nigga like that. I wasn't hanging out with no R&B nigga. I just couldn't. I think the fact that Jay was with him is what used to blow my mind more than anything. I don't know why he wants to put this guy so much. Like, why? I just never understood it. So I think it was just more me feeling awkward about the fact that I had to be around him on some level, but I wasn't around him. Like, I never was around him. Like, even when that not guilty, I wasn't, like, I came for the video, I was out. I wasn't a guy, and I think, like, we took pride, at least I did, and my crew, in not hanging out with famous people or famous men. Like, if you was going to be famous, you had to be a female. But I wasn't trying to be up under no other famous dudes. I didn't think that was, like, I'm not going to hang out with you just because you're famous. And I don't like dudes that much. So I was like, why would I have no reason. Like, what am I going to do? Go to the studio and hang out with it? Like, I don't do that.
Right. Did Jay know about what he did to Aaliyah?
Did he know that everybody knew R. Kelly married Aaliyah at 15? Everybody knew that. With my motherfucking girl. We had the conversation. Why would you still with someone that raped your girl? Would you still do anything with that person? So why would anyone expect me to? Like, that's what I don't understand. I'd be like, yo, people be like, why? Just that alone. There's a lot of other shit. But that alone was like the nail in the coffin for me. I was out of there. I was gone. Trust me. After that, I don't want to be nowhere near. I knew that shit was going to blow up. I didn't want no parts of that shit. Like, I was like, I don't want no parts. That's not good money. So I was done with him for that.
How did Jay respond when you confronted him about it?
You know how he is. He's like, yo, I ain't nothing to do with that. Damn. What I would love is for someone to ask him, like, yo, why would you still do a project with that man knowing that he raped Aaliyah? That should be the question. Period. It shouldn't be for me. It should be the question posed to him. I don't give a fuck about nothing else. But that right there was bridge burnt. But I just was like respecting her, respecting the business. But I was I moved out of Rock. Like, if y'all look at, like, I left Rockefeller. It wasn't that I got kicked out of Rockefeller. I left Rockefeller. You understand what I'm saying? The option was there for me to stay. I did not want no parts of it. I was done. I left Rockware. Think about it, bro. I said, f all the money, all it. I'm out. Now think about, a lot of men would not have made that choice, but any real man would have to make that choice. I was left no choice. He gave me an offer I could not refuse. And we done. You know what I'm saying? You gonna f with this man. You knew he raped my girl.
Later, Dame Dash became involved with Aaliyah after she was an adult, which only fueled more questions about the past. People continue to wonder, where was Jay-Z during those earlier years? Why did he stay closely connected to R. Kelly when so many others deliberately distanced themselves? Was it strictly a business decision, Or were they moving within the same shielded network? This is where Jaguar Wright comes back into the spotlight. She's been vocal for years, and she says that after discovering what was happening behind the scenes in the music industry, especially in matters involving Aaliyah, she couldn't stay silent any longer. Jaguar alleges that she was pushed to sign stringent confidentiality agreements and claims that intimidation and industry pressure were used to keep her from
For Aaliyah Dana Houghton's death to be properly investigated.
As her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep and may not have even been aware that she was on the airplane. Now, we should say we don't know what that pill was. It could have been aspirin. Maybe she was just very tired from a long video shoot. And the baggage handler did say that she took it willingly, but it does reveal some new information about those final moments.
After the crash, investigators determined the small plane was carrying about 700 pounds over its limit. And this is important. The center of gravity was too far back in the aircraft.
The pilot did not want to make this trip, and he reportedly argued with Aaliyah's team because he thought that it was unsafe. So he did make those calculations, and he did decide that it was unsafe. However, after protracted negotiation, they went through with that flight. Now, we did also learn some new things about this pilot. According to autopsy results, he had both alcohol and cocaine in his system.
The pilot
did.
Whoa.
He was not the authorized pilot for that plane, and he had just joined that company a few days prior to that flight. So he was very new with that company.
So Jaguar Wright alleges that the deaths of Aaliyah and other popular artists in the music industry is a bigger scheme and something else is behind it. So I'm going to go ahead and roll you guys this clip of everything that Jaguar Wright had to say, and you guys let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
But Aaliyah, why haven't we demanded more answers? After all this time, everyone is quick to agree that something is rotten in Denmark.
Yes.
With that. And everyone says it, even in the news reports, and yet no one has said it's time to talk to Hype Williams about why he didn't want Aaliyah to get on Lenny Kravitz's very, very, very wonderful and safe plane to get on a janky one that he forced her on, which, by the way, she didn't get on willingly. She was and carried on. She actually died screaming. And the Carters are responsible. But one of them is just a little more responsible than the other. Question is, did Sean Carter delete his mistress, his pregnant mistress, because his wife was jealous? Or could it be possible that maybe his wife's temper is just a little worse than most people think? And maybe he just had to clean it up.
The official story states that Aaliyah tragically died in a plane crash in 2001. Over time, countless theories have emerged, some seeing it as a heartbreaking accident, others convinced that key questions remain unanswered. Jaguar Wright, however, has openly expressed that she doesn't view it as mere coincidence, suggesting that, in her view, the tragedy may have been deliberate. What's evident is that before her untimely death, Aaliyah was stepping into her own power. She was asserting her independence, making her own choices, and starting to pull away from certain influential figures in the music.
And that was to destroy East Coast rap. And what I mean by that, and I know people gonna be like, yo, Gene is out of his mind and everything like that. Check this out, brother. Is that New York rappers was getting 80 to 100, 800 to 1.2 million or some larger than that, and to sign with labels back then. And they was getting a lot of money to make albums and records. When they had guys down south that these labels was paying $250,000, $300,000 on record deals, and these guys was bringing back platinum albums and everything like that. So what they had to do was they had to keep New York rappers down. That's one reason, other than the Irv Gotti that 50 was going through and the poison they was putting in about 50, he had to go elsewhere to California or with Jay and not with Dre and Eminem to get a deal. They did not want East Coast rappers to get big. They were suppressing all new artists that was coming out of New York. Jay and Diddy was doing that. That's why when I heard your story, because I knew this for a long time, but when I heard Dame Dash that Jay wouldn't sign off on nothing, Jay wouldn't do this and Jay would that, because he couldn't let a Cameron blow up. He couldn't let an East Coast rapper like Beanie Siegel blow up. That was Pop Smoke. Let me just tell you something, man. 2 weeks before Pop Smoke died, K Slay, who heard this from the industry, that knows that happens in the industry, set Pop Smoke and his people down and gave them a jewel. He said, y'all gonna have to protect him with his life, with y'all life. Y'all gonna have to protect him with y'all life. Cause he know Pop Smoke was about to bring rap back to the East Coast.
This is where the situation gets even more tangled. If Diddy truly holds recordings or sensitive information involving individuals close to Jay-Z, it could explain why Jay-Z hasn't completely stepped back, even as legal scrutiny around Diddy intensifies. When someone possesses potentially damaging material on another, it creates undeniable leverage. And it isn't limited to just one person. Diddy and Jay-Z's lives and careers are deeply interconnected. If investigations into the deaths of Tupac and Biggie were ever revisited, both could potentially face questions about their involvement. According to Gene Deal, Jay-Z and Diddy were working toward a shared goal, with Deal claiming they were assigned what he described as a mission to prevent East Coast rap from reclaiming dominance.